I was born, I was baptized in the Methodist Church. But when I was little, my mother wanted me to have some kind of religion because she did believe in God. So she found Tabor Lutheran Church, which was about 4 or 5 blocks from where we lived in Chicago. So she took me there every Sunday. That's where I made my confirmation, and my boys were baptized there. They made their confirmation there. My son Ron I was married there. I was married December 8th, 1945. My son Ron was married there, but Bob was married in Bethlehem Lutheran Church in Red Oak, Iowa, where his wife Connie belonged. And so we lived in Chicago up until the time Bob was 65. Then he told his boss, "I'm leaving." And in the meantime, we had bought out my brother-in-law on the house on the lake. And so we moved everybody here, including my mother, because she wasn't going to live by herself. And incidentally, I have a story to tell. I was with my mother from the day I was born till the day she died. By that, we lived in the same house. We lived practically together all this time. And when we moved out here, my husband said, "You're coming with us, aren't you?" She said, "Well, I'm not going to stay here by myself." And so she came here and stayed with us. And she stayed with us until July of 1995, when we had that big heat wave here. And then new son, walking a new son, my mother. And so then, of course, my husband, he had this accident when he fell down the stairs. And I called the rescue squad, and they said, Bob, you have to go to the hospital. And he said to me, "Dolores, I don't want to go to the hospital." And I said, "Honey, you have to go." And those were the last words he said to me, and those were the last words I said to him, because he was in a coma in the rescue squad from that early Sunday morning till Tuesday when he passed away. And here I've been living on 21 years now since his death. I've been living here by myself, never thinking I could. After living with my mother all my life, I always had somebody, but now I have nobody but this big house. But I hope when I'm about to go that I go here, that I don't have to go into a home or anything like that, because I'm used to it, and this is my house. Even though the boys made my dining room into a bedroom, I live in a little 4-room square going from one room to the next room, and that's about it, but it's still home. 172 and 67. My oldest son, Bob, he was a former college professor, and they traveled quite a bit. And living in only 2 houses in all my life, they've purchased about 7 houses in all their lives. And right now they reside in a beautiful home on Capitol Street in Washington, D.C., 7 blocks from the Capitol. Of course, now I worry about them being that close to the Capitol. And they're both Connie she was a neurologist for Abbott, a very brilliant woman. She just wrote a book on pain, and you can get it through Amazon. And they just love Washington, D.C. People say, "Why did you pick there?" They say, "Because that's where all the excitement is. That's where all the rules are made and everything." And they are stickler to rules. And then Ron, my youngest son, my oldest son, the other thing about being stick in the muds, both sons got their basic training at the same grammar school, same high school, and same college. They both went to Augustana College in Rock Island. And but they are so different, so night and day. You never see. They both have the same mother and same father. And Ron, he wasn't the student. His brother was. He says, now I should have gone to a trade school. And I said, you're right. We were so happy you were accepted at Augustana, and we just let it go at that. And right now, he graduated from Augustana in a field that you had to know somebody to get into. He wanted to be a reporter or on the news, radio or something like that, but you had to know somebody. So he moved here into Chicago, stayed with us, and then met a girl, Chris, and they got married, and she had 2 children. So we automatically had two grandchildren, Heather and Andy. And both boys are happy. Ron is just doing several different jobs right now. He's working in a factory, and I believe it's in Trevor, Wisconsin. And he must be a good worker because this boss lets him take weeks off at a time, and he just wants to make so much money so he doesn't lose out on his Social Security. And I love both my sons dearly, and I'm glad Ron is living close by. And he unfortunately had the disease, and so did his wife, but both are fine. And I checked negative for it, but I'm waiting for the serum now. And that's about all my life. Oh, I did a lot of traveling. Well, since Bob died in 2000, I did a lot of traveling, especially to Europe. I've hit nearly all the countries in Europe. There are some I missed, but the highlights of my traveling days was with Bob. When the boys were small, he was always in scout camp with them because he was a scout leader. And then after they graduated and went to college, we started our traveling. We went about 25 cruises, and he loved it. He was a former sailor. He was in 7 Pacific campaigns during World War II, and often he sat back and thought, well, maybe I should have stayed in the Navy. He said, yeah, but then I could have been killed too, and I wouldn't be here. And then, like I said, we were active at St. Stephen's when we came. He said, we got to do something. So we volunteered with the Meals on Wheels. And then when Dorothy Messner, I think that was her last name, left, we took over, and we were in charge until Bob died. And then I was in charge for a while, and then I turned it over to Ken Fensky. And then we were with the choir. We sang in the choir. We were very active with the fellowship group, which I'm still a member of. And the big thing that we did at St. Stephen's, Friedel Hewitt and I, we were in charge of the Dinners for 8 program, which was in effect for many a years until husbands died, and then we ladies partnered with another lady, and then just all of a sudden, in the last couple of years, it just disbanded completely. And this program was where 4 families got together maybe 3 times a year, and we'd meet at one's house, and we got to know people of the congregation in a different a different side of them. It wasn't just at the church. This was a personal invitation, like. And there are still some that are in the congregation who were in that program. The Barlows, uh, oh, I can't think of their name now.
Well, tell what the Barlows did here.
What?
Tell about the Barlows coming here.
Oh, when Bob was so proud to show off his house on the water. And so Don and Robin Barlow used to come out on a Saturday or a weekday when they were off with the two boys, and the boys would come out here and go fishing, and we'd have a picnic. And I had pictures taken of them, which I had given them, and they said, oh my goodness.
And tell about your first Sunday at St. Stephen. Who sang?
Oh, the first Sunday at St. Stephen's, Rick and Friedel had a solo, and that's when we decided we were going to join the choir. But I'll never forget, the first person who introduced themselves to us was Kathy Welch.
Oh, I remember her.
And I said, I'll always remember you because of Welch jelly. And her three boys all grew up here too. And I saw her, she came here for a visit once, right now, she and her husband, he was my insurance man. That was another thing. All of the people who did work for us were people from St. Stephen's. Rick was my refrigeration and heating man. John Schnell, he was my carpenter. He remodeled a lot of the things that we had remodeled. My financial advisor was Mark Lupkeman, and my lawyer was Howard Teachin, all from St. Stephen's. So.
And who was with your husband when he passed away?
We were all there. Oh, and Sharon Michaelis came right from work just when she came into the room, and he passed away. But Sharon and Elmer and Bob and I, we were, well, not Sharon, but Elmer was in the choir with us. We bowled together. We used to spend Christmas Eves together with another couple. And we went, every December we went to Las Vegas on a plane trip. And we used to have a lot of good times, and I saw her family grow up. And they all have children of their own now. And Sharon and Elmer are about the only ones that, well, I'm sure there were others in the congregation at the same time when we joined in 88. But we weren't close to them like we were with Elmer and Sharon. Yeah.
I'm going to try.
By being a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And following the commandments and loving my neighbor as thyself, and have no hatred between anybody.